Good afternoon. My name is Sunflower. I am a member of the Royal House of the Pokanoket tribe of the Pokanoket Nation. And we are here today at the Mixed Magic Theater celebrating Indigenous Peoples Month. But the program for today is about an experience of a family and how we've managed to maintain our culture through the years by passing information on from one generation to the next. Yeah, all this stuff here belongs to my sisters and myself, and the majority of it we made, except for that drum. Right, all the rest of the stuff in those mops. Okay. All the rest of the stuff. They were done for the town of Warren, but the Pokanoket tribe. That was the Pokanoket camp, and that was the Massasoit. Goes from one end to the other.
First of all, again, thank you and welcome to Mixed Magic Theater this evening.
So, Brenda and Miss Ronnie did not recognize herself. We are the co-founders of Mixed Magic Theater.
Oh, sorry.
Mixed Magic Theater, I wrote this down because I didn't want to get it wrong. Mixed Magic Theater acknowledges that we stand on the lands of the indigenous people of Turtle Island. And we honor their legacy and their history forever. We are called Mixed Magic Theater because we believe from the beginning, from our founding, that the magic was in the mix. How can we bring together people in celebration of life and living? And I am so honored to stand on this stage tonight with you and I'm so honored to have you here with us tonight. You are always welcome here. And we hope that we will see you often. When my son married Kim Morrison and I became associated with the Native American people of this country, I considered it a singular honor. And I am so happy to have you all here. Let's have a good time and enjoy each other. And you know something? We like to get loose here at Mixed Magic Theater, so you don't have to play safe, all right? Everybody enjoy yourself.
Just one last quick note. At the end of the program, there will be a brief talk back. Brief. 20 minutes.
What do you have?
Didn't you wear these for the wedding?
No, we wore those for the Twilight Ceremony. That was the ceremony that we had the night before our actual wedding. Yeah, come sit down, we'll tell you about it. Come sit down. Come sit, yeah. So the Twilight Ceremony is the indigenous people's wedding ceremony. And I had my whole family was there. My mother, my father, my aunts, my uncles, my grandparents, and my husband's family was also there. And what we did was we had a traditional wedding, basically to honor our people. And what we did was we had a majority of our family members help out with all of the regalia and helping with making the food. And we had 2 circles. There was an inner circle and there was an outer circle. And it was a unification of 2 different cultures. We had our indigenous side of the family, and we also had the African side of the family, my husband's side of the family. And it was a unification of both of those cultures.
So yeah, when we started out making all those regalias, that was a process.
Oh, yes, it was.
It took us 2 months to gather the materials, to fringe many of the items, to decorate them, to make sure that they were laced properly, as well as fixed together.
Corinne, all eyes were on you, because that's what it was all about. Until your mom's dress fit, seeing how you were busy cooking.
Yes, I was 6 months pregnant when I was so it was a tough process trying to measure, of course, how big I was going to be during the ceremony. And puncturing the holes and trying to measure and estimate, you know, whether or not I was going to grow too big for the regalia was a challenge as well. But it was also the first time my husband wore a loincloth.
Yes.
Well, there were a few people that cooked, but we had some awesome clam chowder that night, thanks to Mr. Fitzwiley.
Yes.
We had lots of fresh fruits, which would have been typical of a native wedding. You would have had fruits and vegetables, and
the venison was also made. It was made by Ma Salome, which is my mother-in-law. She helped season the venison. I helped to season also. We also we baked it slowly. It was a slow bake, and oh my goodness, it literally melted in our mouths. It was so tender. It was so juicy. It was a wonderful flavor we had. Yes, part of the food.
And it didn't even stop there, because this was our first time wanting to carry on our tradition. We don't want it to be forgotten, because we are still here. And as even her sister, a few years later, she ended up having a Native American ceremony as well. So this was a blessing to be able to pass this on to the next generation. and teach them of some of our ways. And it brought us together more, and we learned more about our culture. Some of our elders weren't able to be here today, but we're very thankful, because I can remember when I was little, looking at the little stream of river down on the reservation, and just the different ceremonies that took place, we never forgot them. And all the beadwork that was taught, there was a lot of intricate beadwork that was taught. And back then, a lot of the materials, different things that people made regalia with, we didn't necessarily have at certain times in our life, but we used what we could from nature. Some of our ancestors used shells. Some of the older regalia, you may notice some people use shells and wampum. You'll see different significant work that people spent time to put in their regalia. And they make their regalia with very much meaning. It's not something that's just put together, but there's a lot of meaning to that. And so these are things that we want to continue to pass on to our children and those that come after us.
Yes,
So,
and, excuse me, sister.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Excuse me, sisters.
Go ahead.
We're three sisters.
Sure.
And there's something to that, but we'll talk about that later.
Yes.
Next door, you could see there are some items that are hanging on the wall and displayed on the table that, this item that I've handcrafted, there's some items that my sisters have handcrafted, and my nieces, and some of my aunts that handcrafted these items and carrying on the tradition. You express yourself through your regalia. And some of us express ourselves by using, the leather and the hides. Some of us use the beading, and some of us use needle and thread with making ribbon shirts and cross stitching. And who you are will come through in your regalia.
And as I pass on, when our regalia was made, I'll say over 11, 12 years ago, my Native American name is Greenleaf, and so my sister had something that she had that she passed on to me, and you'll notice there's a green leaf. So I added that onto my regalia as that was just a token of love and passed on for me.
So as we made all these regalias, because we made regalia for the whole wedding party, at the end we realized that we forgot Catherine.
There wasn't enough material.
So way back in 1980-something, Auntie Elsie made a jacket that we cut up.
Yes.
I took the hems off of it and was able to put together what Corinne is wearing today.
Right, so 3 generations later,
Yes.
that's what's left of the jacket. So in that, with these young people here, we are trying to continue our traditions and pass on the culture and pass on what we know. And hopefully, we know enough to leave behind enough so that it continues.
Oh.
I was so glad to hear that conversation. I am Pope Umakwankanakis, Sachem of the Pokanoket tribe, Pokanoket Nation. There was a time when our people couldn't talk about who we were. After the King Philip's War, they took our people who were left, they killed many of our people. And they took our people and they sold us as slaves down to the Caribbean and as far as the Azores. And a lot of them were our young men, our strong men. And those men who did not cooperate, they were killed. Those of us who were left, we remained A lot of the women and the children, they became indentured servants. King Philip's kin, they were put on a reservation, but they were treated terrible there, terribly. The women were being raped, and when the elder men spoke against it, they were killed. And so they fled. And so a lot of our people were just trying to survive. But we were told, right after the King Philip's War, we were told, you can't call yourself Pokanoket anymore. You can identify yourself as Wampanoag. But we weren't Wampanoag. We were Pokanoket. That is who we were. But they tried to take our identity away from us. And so a lot of our culture, the burden of our culture, the burden of survival was on the women who were here. A lot of our men were gone. They made it, they told us we could not fish, we could not hunt in the lands that were ours. When we tried to work the land, to forage, to live off of the land, they told us we had to have ownership of that land. We had to purchase it. In other words, they were telling us, just die. But our people did what they had to do to survive. And a lot of us just became invisible. We were just trying to survive. I remember my grandmother, my great-grandmother. She lived to be almost 100, not quite 100. But I remember her, she had beautiful, long, white hair. And she would ask my mother to braid her hair often. But when my father was young, when he was growing up, my grandmother would call him and take him close to her. And she would whisper stories of who we were. She would tell him that we were the captives from King Philip's War. We were Anawan's captives. And she would tell him the stories, but she would whisper because she was blind. And she was afraid. She didn't know who was nearby. And she feared to tell people who she was. And this was generations after the war. That's how traumatized my people were. And I also remember my father telling me that when he was a boy and he was out playing with his friends and he was telling them about who he was, and his parents called him inside and they scolded him and they said, you don't talk about that outside of this household. You don't tell people who you are. And that is the story of my people. But the story's not over. We are still fighting to survive. And it's not a survival of life or death. It's a survival of our culture. And the end result being death. If we don't do what you're doing today, if we don't talk about it, if we don't carry our traditions to the next generation, the vices of colonization are still very much alive. Society, they're trying to push on us who they think we should be. They're trying to tell us what they think we should do for our people. There are so many entities out there with agendas, and they don't have us in their best interest. So we, as a people, we need to keep talking. Our voices need to be heard. We need to tell people who we are. We reserve the right to shape our future and those of the next generation according to our ways, our traditions, what's right for our people. So every day we need to advocate for ourselves. Every day. And it's hard because we have jobs and careers, we have families, But we have to advocate for ourselves every day because we need to keep our tribal identity. We need to keep our culture. We are not a footnote in the pages of some history book that you read about in school. We are still here.
This next song, I would like to dedicate to my father-in-law, who wrote the song. My son and I, we decided to pay tribute to the unity of the two cultures, our indigenous side and the African side, the African American side. So we did a little collaboration with a song that my father-in-law wrote. So I dedicate this song to you, Pop.
Where's Pop?
When I sing to the river seems bright.
ancestors peers from behind my mass of my skin, and through my memories they live. Never forget where you come from. Walk tall as the trees, live strong as the mountains, be gentle as the spring winds. Keep warmth of the summer sun in your heart, and the Great Spirit will always be with you. That was by Chief Dan George. Words of wisdom. Hear all sides, and you will be enlightened. Hear one side, and you will be in the dark. That was by Red Road Warriors.
Amen.
Some medicine singers.
Did you know we made mouthwash, baby bottles, and hammocks? Did you know we built and used kayaks and canoes to travel? No. Did you know we played lacrosse for hundreds of years?
Yeah.
medicine and clothes.
No. Did you know we made rubber by mixing natural latex and glory vines?
No. Did you know they made us many promises? More than I can remember, but they kept but one. They promised to take our land, and they took it. Chief Ritzlau.
Did you know that if a hawk is present, it's a sign of goodwill and good peace for our people? And for two hawks, I'd like to sing this song. Not only the hawk is a good sign to our people, it is a good sign from the Great Spirit. And at this time, I would like to ask everyone, we can't make a circle here, of course, but everyone here, take the hand of your neighbor next to you. If you want to raise your hand, you can raise your hand. This is a time of peaceful coming together with the people. That's the time I want to say, we are granted this time by the great Holy Spirit, the great creator of all of us. We are one in his eyes, and as he said, past, present, and future. We are one, we will be one. And through him we shall be one. 400 years have gone by, but it's still as he says. The Great Spirit is in charge. The great Creator does everything in his time, and the time is coming when we will be as one. We are a people that never left, we have always been a home.
This next poem is called Assimilation, and it is written by Sunflower. Assimilation was the promise to be a part of a greater nation. That promise became the cultural genocide of our tribal nations, unable to claim our birthright for generations.
Assimilation, by definition, is to take in and include one as one's own. Instead, our ancestors suffered abuse and indignation, forced by the hands of the greatest nation, proud of its proclamations of devastation of the people who opened the shores to this destination.
Assimilation. Peace for 50 years and then the annihilation of a people. Stripped of our ancestral lands, our young men could be shot where they stand without hesitation. Our women leaders kept us together as others thought we had disbanded. They continued to share their tribal information with each generation, so here we stand.
Assimilation. Little did they know about the people who spoke their history and continued with tribal beliefs and traditions. It's been a mystery how our people survived and continued to thrive stronger today than in a long time. Every day we honor our Creator and those that have passed on in a manner like no other while respecting the Earth Mother without interruption. The drum continues on.
Assimilation. For years, traditions have been passed down to our children like the rhythm of the drum, keeping our heartbeat moving. We are the indigenous ones who feel the blood flowing through our veins. Like the rivers flow through the Earth Mother, our heartbeats mark time for a new generation, where the first people will no longer be standing behind the ones who declared we were no longer a nation.
Assimilation. I see a future where our beliefs and our intuitions will become a part of everyone's daily living. Our children will lead the way for change in the human condition. Our Creator will give us the strength and wisdom to carry on its visions. Assimilation.
All right, my man.
Keep us safe.
Why you don't know me? When you arrived, my people were happy and free. We lived in a place where there was little competition, and for food, there was no fee. You came along, and you were welcomed, but you decided your land is for me. Unable to see, you would have been dead, were it not for me. A people who roamed their lands, living one with the earth, forced to retreat. Our interactions became deadly as we met the hands of greed. In your attempt to threaten me, you hung the Massasoit's head on a pole for all to see. Into the shadows, moving only when need be, a people further retreat. In your attempt to erase me, we were declared dead and erased from your history. Your laws made our existence an untold history. Outlawed was the word Pokanoket, death to those claiming his ancestry. Sisters and brothers, separated by land and deeds, only those who agreed to give up their lands, citizens would they be. You have sent those who stole from me to investigate what's left of me. We have been saying we are still here for hundreds of years, walking while blindfolded, haunted by your own fears. You cannot hear the sound of my tears. Stripped of our culture into the shadows, your mission complete. We are now wrapped in your cloak of invisibility, and that's why you don't know me. I hope.
That poem was written by Sunflower.
I'm She Walks with the Wind, and I'll share some historical facts with you. In 1675, the Indian Imprisonment Act was incorporated. And in 1678, the Treaty of Casco was written. And if you were 14 years or older and claimed that you were Pokanoket, you could be shot and killed on sight. 1830 was the Indian Removal Act. Some things you may not know about that were you could not use your native language. You could not practice traditional religion. You could not practice your cultural ceremonies. Fast forward to today, 2017. The Pokanoket tribe camp forces Brown University to admit the fact that they have possession of stolen lands. In 2020, Brown University is granted $4.9 million to partner with other organizations to document, expose the history of this history of stolen lands in the U.S. and its impact on indigenous people. Well, they received that money. We are still here without our land. This is a statement that was made by the director of Center for the Study of Slavery and Justice, Tony Bowes, from Brown University. If we don't understand the full story of our nation's founding, if we cannot understand and grapple with who we were and how that shaped our history, then we will never become a just society. Tony Bowes.
Yahweh, Yahweh, oh hey, hey, Yahweh, oh hey, Yahweh, Yahweh, oh hey, hey, Yahweh, oh hey, Yahweh, Yahweh, oh hey, hey, Yahweh, oh hey, Yahweh.
and gentlemen, give it up again. I want to thank Kim. Come on up here, girl. All right. So anyway, this was for Native American Month, as you know. And Kim and I collaborated on this. But we want everybody to know it's called Native American Month. But just like with Black History Month, we don't want a month. We want a year round. We want a year round. And hence, many of you may not know, many of you may not know that actually the title of Mixed Magic Theater is Mixed Magic Theater and Cultural Events. It's intentional in that we continue our traditions, our cultures, our history, our heritage, passing down to the kids. And Ricardo and I talk often about the institutional learning that's getting lost as the old ones pass away. So this is a way of reaffirming and bringing it back. So we will continue to do this. And I want to bring down Elsie Morris. It's actually been the Morrison family. All right, Cheryl Morrison, Joanne Morrison, Pat Houston Morrison, and my baby girl. Come on here.